Somewhere in Iran, in 2010, a nuclear centrifuge starts spinning, then another, and another. Engineers watch the readouts. Everything looks normal, but something is very wrong. The machines are tearing themselves apart from the inside. And the people responsible? They're sitting in an office thousands of miles away, and they never fired a single bullet. This is the story of Stuxnet, the world's first digital weapon, a piece of code so sophisticated, so precise, that the experts who found it couldn't believe it was real. It didn't steal passwords. It didn't crash servers. It was engineered to do one thing and one thing only: destroy physical machines in complete silence without anyone knowing it was happening. And it came closer to triggering an international war than most people will ever know. This is the full story. To understand why Stuxnet existed, you need to go back to the early 2000s. Iran was doing something that made the rest of the world extremely nervous. They were building a nuclear program. For energy purposes, they said, but Western intelligence agencies weren't so sure. The United States, Israel, Europe, they all wanted that program stopped. But how? A military strike would start a war. Sanctions weren't working fast enough. There had to be another way. And somewhere, in a room that officially doesn't exist, the world's most talented hackers came together with an insane idea. The target was Natanz, an underground nuclear facility buried deep in the Iranian desert, built to withstand airstrikes, no internet connection, completely cut off from the outside world. In cybersecurity, they call this an air gap. The system is physically disconnected from everything. Unhackable, right? That's what everyone thought. But the people behind Stuxnet thought differently. If you can't get into the network, you carry the virus there yourself, on a USB stick. Someone, and we still don't know exactly who, plugged an infected USB drive into a computer inside the facility. That was all it took. And here is where it gets genuinely insane. Stuxnet was not a normal virus. It was a masterpiece of engineering. It used 4 zero-day exploits. Those are security vulnerabilities that nobody in the world has discovered yet. No virus in history had ever used more than one at a time. Stuxnet used 4 simultaneously. But the smartest part? The virus did absolutely nothing on computers it didn't recognize. It checked whether the machine was connected to specific Siemens industrial controllers. If it wasn't, no action. It just hid, waited, until it landed on exactly the right machine. And then, it went to work. The centrifuges in Natanz were spinning at a very specific frequency, 1064 Hz. Stuxnet changed that, first pushing them to 1410 Hz, dangerously fast, then suddenly dropping to 2 Hz, almost a complete stop, then back to 1064, as if nothing had happened. The operators stared at their screens. Everything looked completely normal, because Stuxnet was feeding false data to the monitors. While the machines were destroying themselves, the engineers were reading perfect numbers. No alarms, no warnings, just silent destruction. Around 1,000 centrifuges were eventually destroyed. 1/5 of Iran's entire nuclear capacity, gone, without a single shot fired. For almost a year, nobody knew what was happening. Iran assumed their own engineers were making mistakes. They fired people. They replaced parts. The machines kept failing. And then, in June 2010, a small cybersecurity company in Belarus got a call from a client in Iran. Their computers were crashing and rebooting in a loop. The researchers started digging. What they found stopped them cold. This was not a normal virus. This was something nobody had ever seen before. One of the researchers later said it was like finding a perfect 10 out of 10, except a perfect 10 had never existed before. Word spread fast through the security community. Within weeks, researchers across the world were tearing Stuxnet apart, trying to understand it. The code was enormous, 1/2 megabyte. Most viruses are a few kilobytes. This thing was a novel, and every layer they peeled back revealed something more sophisticated underneath. It became clear very quickly that this was not the work of a lone hacker in a basement. This required a team, a budget, government resources. The fingers pointed almost immediately at the United States and Israel. Both governments stayed completely silent, for years. But here is where it gets dangerous, because Stuxnet was never supposed to leave Natanz. It was designed to spread only through specific conditions, only target specific machines, only activate under specific circumstances. But something went wrong. A software error, or maybe just bad luck, and Stuxnet escaped. It spread across the internet, to computers in India, Indonesia, China, Europe. Suddenly, a classified military-grade cyber weapon was loose in the wild. Security researchers could study it, copy it, learn from it. And the moment that happened, the rules of warfare changed forever. Iran knew they had been attacked. They just couldn't prove it publicly. And that created a new kind of tension. Not the kind where armies face each other across a border. A silent tension. A cold, digital fury. Iran responded by massively expanding its own cyber warfare capabilities. Within 2 years, they were launching their own attacks. Saudi Aramco, one of the world's largest oil companies, got hit with a virus called Shamoon. 30,000 computers destroyed in hours. Iranian hackers attacked U.S. banks. They hit the Las Vegas Sands casino. The thing that Stuxnet started did not end with Stuxnet. In 2013, Edward Snowden leaked classified documents that confirmed what everyone already suspected. Stuxnet was a joint U.S., NSA, and Israeli intelligence operation, codenamed Operation Olympic Games. It had been running since at least 2006. And here is the detail that keeps security experts up at night. It worked. Iran's nuclear program was set back by years, but it also proved something terrifying. For the first time in history, a piece of software had caused real physical structure, destroyed by code. Think about what that means. Power grids run on software. Water treatment facilities run on software. Hospitals, financial systems, air traffic control, all of it runs on software. Stuxnet showed the world that these systems could be targeted, penetrated, and destroyed without ever physically touching them. Every nation on Earth looked at Stuxnet and started asking the same question. What else can we do with this? The answer to that question is still being written. Right now, as you watch this, there are cyber weapons sitting dormant in critical infrastructure around the world, waiting. We know this because intelligence agencies have said so publicly. The question is not whether another Stuxnet exists. The question is when it activates, and whether the people watching the screens will see it coming, or whether they'll just see normal readouts, right up until the moment everything falls apart. Stuxnet was a masterpiece, and it was a warning. The first shot in a war that has no front line, no uniforms, and no clear rules of engagement. A war where the most powerful weapon isn't a missile, it's a USB stick. If this blew your mind, hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning. I'm Brixton CS. Thanks for watching.